When the final workday ends, there's often no ceremony, no grand farewell, no standing ovation, just a quiet morning when the alarm clock no longer rings, and you realize you have nowhere you need to be. For some, that feels like freedom. For others, it feels like standing on the edge of a vast, silent ocean. All those years, your identity was built around doing, working, earning, helping, providing. Now the rhythm of life has changed. The phone doesn't ring as often. The schedule is empty. And beneath the peace, there's a whisper, what now? Many older adults in America experience this strange emptiness, a feeling not of sadness, but of uncertainty. It's what psychologists call role loss. When we retire, we don't just leave a job. We leave behind a part of who we were. But here's the quiet truth. Retirement isn't an ending. It's an invitation to rediscover purpose, not in what you do, but in who you are. Purpose after 60 isn't about titles or achievements or busy schedules. It's about meaning, the kind that grows quietly like roots beneath the soil. And sometimes it begins in the most ordinary moments. Watering a garden, calling an old friend, mentoring a young soul. Purpose in this new season is less about chasing something ahead and more about uncovering what's been inside you all along. What really matters after 60 purpose is one of those words that can sound heavy, almost intimidating. We imagine it must mean something big, a mission, a new business, a grand legacy. But for most people after retirement, purpose looks much simpler and much quieter. It might be the joy of teaching a grandchild how to bake a family recipe, or the pride of volunteering at the local library every Thursday morning. Or maybe it's that deep satisfaction of watching the sun rise, coffee in hand, knowing that for once you don't need to rush anywhere. The truth is, meaning doesn't disappear with age, it transforms. Psychologists from Stanford University found that after age 60, our goals naturally shift from achievement to connection. We start caring less about what did I accomplish and more about who did I love, who did I help, what did I learn. That shift is what makes aging such a profound spiritual journey. It's when we begin to measure life not by how much we've gained, but by how much we've given. Many older adults in America have shared how they found renewed purpose through mentorship, community service, or creative expression. One retired engineer found joy in teaching math to underprivileged kids. A former nurse began writing letters to isolated seniors at her local care home. A grandmother in Oregon turned her backyard into a pollinator garden, inviting neighborhood children to learn about nature. These are not headlines, but they are heartlines, quiet threads of meaning that give each day color. Purpose doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It asks, what small thing can I do today that adds light to my life or someone else's? And when that question becomes a daily rhythm, you realize that retirement isn't a void. It's a canvas, waiting for you to paint something new. The science of purpose and longevity scientists have a simple but powerful observation. People who live with a sense of purpose live longer. A major study from the University of Michigan followed more than 7,000 adults over age 50. They discovered that those who felt their life had purpose, even something as simple as caring for a pet, volunteering, or pursuing a hobby, had a 30% lower risk of early death. Why? Because purpose does more than lift the spirit. It heals the body. When you feel useful, your brain releases chemicals that reduce stress and inflammation. Your sleep improves. Your heart becomes steadier. Even your immune system responds better to challenges. Purpose is not just philosophy, it's biology. Dr. Patricia Boyle, a neuropsychologist at Rush University, studied older adults for more than a decade and found that those who scored higher on purpose in life tests were less likely to develop Alzheimer's and cognitive decline. In other words, us meaning keeps the mind alive. But the kind of purpose that matters isn't about productivity or pressure. It's about engagement, about staying connected to life, a sense that you still belong, contribute, and matter. Think of purpose as a quiet flame. It doesn't have to burn wildly. It just needs to stay lit. And each day, the small acts you choose, reading to children, tending your garden, sharing your story with others, become sparks that keep it glowing. There's also an emotional science to this. Humans are wired to want to feel needed. That feeling gives us structure, motivation, and joy. When you wake up and know that your presence still makes a difference, no matter how small, life suddenly feels lighter, fuller, and more grounded. Purpose doesn't retire when you do. It simply changes its shape, from building a career to building meaning, from climbing ladders to planting roots, and maybe that's the most graceful transformation of all. Finding purpose in simple moments. Sometimes purpose doesn't arrive as a grand realization. It doesn't come with applause, or fireworks, or headlines. It comes softly, in the quiet moments that most people overlook. It's in the way you pause to listen when someone needs to talk, in the smile you offer to a stranger at the grocery store, in the morning ritual of feeding birds on your porch, or calling an old friend just to ask, "How are you really?" These moments may seem small, but together they form a rhythm, a quiet, meaningful heartbeat that keeps you connected to life. For decades, life was about doing, checking lists, meeting deadlines, achieving goals. But now purpose is more about being kind, being curious, being present. One of the gifts of growing older is that we finally have time to notice the world again, to savor its details, the colors of the sunset, the laughter of a child, the warmth of a cup of tea shared with someone we love. In those moments, you realize something profound. Purpose isn't something you find outside yourself. It's something you remember inside yourself. It's been there all along, hidden beneath the noise of busy years, waiting patiently for you to slow down and listen. And maybe after all the years of chasing what's next, this is what real purpose feels like. Not a mission to accomplish, but a life to be fully present for. Because when you wake up each day with gratitude, when you choose to love, to laugh, to notice, you are already living with purpose. That is what gives aging its quiet dignity and life its endless meaning. The gentle art of beginning again. There comes a moment in life when we realize that purpose isn't something we retire from. It's something we return to again and again, each time life invites us to grow a little softer, a little wiser, a little more open. Maybe purpose after 60 isn't about chasing the extraordinary, but about finding the sacred in the ordinary. The quiet joy of being here, of waking up and realizing I still have something to give. For some, it's love. For others, it's laughter. For many, it's simply presence, the gift of showing up with kindness. So if you've ever wondered what comes after the busy years, what fills the space once work and schedules fade away, remember this: the heart never retires. It still wants to connect, to create, to care. And every time you do, every act of compassion, every story you share, you are living your purpose. Maybe this season of life isn't about slowing down, but about deepening, about discovering that you are not at the end of something, but standing at the beginning of a new kind of freedom. So take a deep breath. Look around you. This beautiful, ordinary day is your purpose calling. If today's story touched your heart, remember, you're never too old to begin again and never too late to live with meaning. Subscribe to Stories After 60 for more soulful stories, gentle reflections, and the quiet reminders that life after 60 is still beautifully alive.